Good morning and welcome to Maricopa County Planning and Zoning Commission. It's January 23rd, 2025, and it is now 9:45. We'll begin with a roll call.
Commissioner Curley. Commissioner Dan Zeisen. Commissioner Lawrence. Commissioner Montoya.
Here.
Vice Chair Lindblom.
Here.
Chair Milhaven.
Here. Thank you. This meeting has been noticed in accordance with Open Meeting Law ARS 38-431. Agendas are available within 24 hours of each meeting in the Maricopa County Planning and Development Office and are also available on the Planning and Development website 1 week prior to hearing at www.maricopa.gov/planning. The staff reports prepared for each agenda item shall become a part of the permanent record for each case. With respect to the hearing process, cases will be considered in the order they appear on the agenda unless otherwise agreed to by the commission. For each case, the applicant will be given a set amount of time to present. Anyone wishing to speak on a particular case shall fill out a speaker's card for in-person attendance or raise your hand within GoToWebinar. The amount of time allowed for speaking shall be at the discretion of the commission chair. Staff will provide the chairman with the names of persons who have registered and noted desire to comment and those registered participants who have raised their hand. Chairman will call on each named participant one at a time. The chairman will conduct the hybrid in-person and virtual public meeting according to the bylaws and according to the rules established by the chairman regarding public comment. Votes will be done by roll call vote only. The chairman will verbally identify the specific members responsible for all motions and seconds. We will proceed with our agenda, and first we have no minutes, so we'll move to the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, we have two items on consent. They are PD 240004, known as 191st and Jomax in District 4. This is a plan of development for an RV and boat storage facility in the Rural 43 MAAMF WHSC and Rural 43 WHSC zoning districts. It's an 8.3 acre site at the northeast corner of Jomax, 191st Avenue in Whitman. This plan of development is going through the legislative process rather than administrative because it's partially located within the high noise and accident potential zone of AUX 1 airfield. There is no known opposition. The recommendation in paragraph 11 is for approval subject to conditions A through H. And finally, Z 2024-060, known as Whitman Storage in District 4. This is a zone change to C2 CUPD WHSC with a plan of development for self-storage facility on a slightly less than an acre site at the northwest corner of Grand Avenue, Frontage Road, and US Highway 60 in the Whitman area. There is opposition in the form of a handout that's before you today. I don't know if those persons are attending, but if they have not shown up, it can remain on consent. The recommendation in paragraph 14 is for approval, subject to conditions A through H.
Thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions of staff? Okay, I do not have any, I don't see any requests to speak. Do we have anyone who'd like to speak on consent agenda items? Anyone online?
We're not aware of anyone online.
All righty, in that case, I'll entertain a vote to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, Commissioner Montoya made the motion and Curley seconds. We'll have a vote.
Commissioner Curley. Commissioner Montoya.
Yes.
Vice Chair Lindblom.
Yes.
Chair Milhaven.
Yes,
Here we have a motion recommending approval
thank
of the
you.
consent agenda by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. We'll move on to our regular agenda, beginning with the Fairview.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Adam Cannon, Planning and Development. Case Z 2021-169 is for the Fairview in Supervisor District 1. The subject site is located at the corner of Fairview and Higley in the Gilbert area and is approximately 1.15 acres and is zoned Rural 43. The request is for a special use permit to operate a special events venue for weddings and other events. There are 7 individuals supporting the case. 8 individuals opposed to the case. All direct neighbors to the venue support the case. But an additional 3 letters of opposition came in this morning, but were not included in the commission report due to the timing. So if there are no duplicates, this would bring the total opposed to 11. But the applicant has, throughout their application, made a good faith effort to notify the public and held 2 neighborhood meetings. The opposition letters are concerned with event traffic and traffic safety, on-street parking, litter, and noise, many of which the applicant has resolved throughout the process of trying to obtain the special use permit, we believe. The town of Gilbert, staff notes, is opposed to the venue primarily because it does not conform to their plan's land use designation. However, staff is recommending approval for the following reasons. The applicant has provided a sufficient number of on-site parking spaces to accommodate event traffic and would host a maximum of 15 special events per year, and those would only be held on weekends between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. Lighting would be shielded and directed downward away from other neighboring properties. Also, we set a limit on the special use permit timeline to 5 years to allow for staff to evaluate whether the applicant is operating in accordance with the conditions, which we believe they will, and being a good neighbor. And then at that time, it could be renewed and extended. Also, we're recommending approval because private parties, those are parties with invitation only, with no advertising or monetary transaction, are able to operate with no restrictions or regulations as it is. So the special use permit allows staff to condition the use to address lighting, hours of operation, noise, and traffic. And so lastly, all direct neighbors support the venue. And with that, I would just, if there's any questions you may have.
Thank you. The commissioners have any questions of staff? If there are no questions, we'll hear from the applicant.
I assume this is where I should speak from,
Yes, and
correct?
please state your name for the record.
Jim Torgerson. It's my wife Lori over there. The property's held in trust for the family. It is on the corner of Higley and Fairview. Every accommodation possible has been made. I don't wish to look in the past and throw blame or accusation or anything of the sort, because it does not resolve opposition. That if it's a safety-based opposition, down the street has many, many huge events, huge to the point where they have to park up and down streets. We're simply trying to operate something that is supposed to be the basis of community, marriage, baby showers. It's not a party venue. It's not a typical 9-to-5 business. It's not a mechanic shop. It is simply based on weddings. Since there was a complaint several years ago, we have only honored the things booked, not taken any money, and family. For instance, we had a baby shower for my daughter's best friend a couple weekends ago. There's been no parking issues. There's been no accidents. There's been no problems. People are actually encouraged to turn left out of our property so that they go to Higley and not through the community. Anybody who wants to drive through the community has to encounter, I believe, 4 speed bumps on each side. It's not a pleasant thing. I was actually responsible for that many years ago to slow traffic. There is not a safety issue. If this was a safety issue, nobody would be doing what they do on that street. There are many businesses that involve much more traffic. Most of them probably not permitted. But this is simply about something that my wife has discovered she really enjoys, and that's weddings. And for instance, Brad behind us that wrote one of those letters, they come up to the very back of the property to try and hear something because they enjoy it. And his family built that entire community. And this is a man that says he, quote unquote, I don't care one little bit. He enjoys it. No direct neighbor has a problem. I gave that map that has that pink circle. It shows the 300-foot some odd mailing circle radius. Everybody in there is fine. And that one yellow dot is our main detractor, who's 0.625 miles away. So 5/8 of a mile, over half a mile. There's no impact. And this is simply something that's supposed to be a very low key thing to enjoy. And that's part of the reason to buy on a county island, is to not be over-regulated in it. We have complied with everything we've been asked. We wish to be a good applicant. I don't want to be a poor applicant. I don't want to lose something. I actually can't understand the vehement nature of creating an opposition to this that's lasted 3 years plus, as you can see from the date of the initial application. We have done everything. God could do no more at this point. So with that, I just wish you would take into consideration who we are, the fact that we've agreed to a 5-year permit, because certainly it could be, if we were trouble, it could be taken away before that if we were a public nuisance. We're not going to be. I have every intention of staying in this community the rest of my life. So there's no way that this is going to be a problem, because I have to deal with that forever. And just whatever questions anybody may have of me, please ask. We're a little tired of an unreasonable set of people, some of who've actually committed assault. So please ask away. I'm an open book.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I don't see any requests to speak in person. Do we have any requests to speak online?
Not aware of anyone online.
All righty. Commissioners have any, pardon me?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Lindblom. Could I ask the applicant a question?
Certainly.
Mr. Torgerson, can you speak to what is the I'm mostly concerned about, and I hear the neighbors mainly complain about concern of the traffic that will go down Fairview. Can you just talk to what you're doing to keep traffic from going down Fairview?
Yes, we're actually, I own a sign shop on top of everything else. So there'll be physical signage, and we have somebody directing traffic out of the venue to Higley Road. There will be no Fairview traffic at all. So there literally is no impact the 3/4 of the mile down the street that somebody may feel. There just is no impact whatsoever on them.
Okay, and then a follow-up question. And I think I saw in the packet that it said all of the surrounding neighbors are in support, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions at this time.
Thank you. Any other commissioners have any questions? Okay, and I think we heard there's no one online to speak. Two people?
David, do we have some people online wanting to speak on this case?
I have one raised hand by Scott Hancock, but I haven't yet been able to chat with him. I assume that's what he's asking for. Scott is unmuted now if he wishes to speak on this item. He needs to unmute on his side. Apologies, there were a couple other raised hands as well that I didn't see till just now. So,
If the speaker
yeah,
would
Scott, go ahead, Scott.
please state your name
You
and
know,
address for the record, please.
My name is Scott Hancock. I live at 16114 East Fairview Street.
Go ahead.
And I've talked to the neighbors around the Torgensons, or the venue. It's not even the Torgensons' home, it's the mother-in-law's house that they're trying to do. But the neighbors, the direct next door neighbor is in opposition of this directly. We spoke with him last night, And I think that there's been a little bit of some miscommunication when we talk about that it's just a process that they're trying to go through this whole thing. They've been holding events and they've been doing whatever they want and paying the fees if they get any in direct like opposition of the process. I'm a little concerned with the mockery of this entire process with them continuing to hold events when they don't even have a permit to. It's if we were looking for a liquor license and we kept selling liquor when we didn't have our license, we would never be able to get one. And I think that some of the same rules should apply here. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. I failed to comment. Well, you kept your comments within 2 minutes, but the speakers will keep their comments to 2 minutes. The next speaker, please.
Yeah, I have Brian Skinner next. Brian, you need to unmute on your side in the application. There you go. Brian, it shows you're unmuted, but we're not hearing you. Are you also muted on a cell phone, maybe? Amanda Gallagher is the other speaker. Amanda, you also need to unmute on your side if you wish to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
So Brian and I are actually married, so I'll have him come back over here and talk after I say my words. I'm Amanda Gallagher. I live at 16631 East Elgin Street, which is right behind the street right behind Fairview. So so I'm going to just start with my notes. I wrote them down. My name is Amanda Gallagher, and I live within the Fairview community that beautifully surrounds the unwanted wedding and event venue that you've been asked to approve today. There are many homeowners within this small county island community that do not want this approved. The current owner of this property is related to a town of Gilbert councilman who is trying to push this through under her name so that he doesn't tarnish his name with the constituents of Gilbert. I feel that this councilman is being deceitful by hiding behind his family to get what he wants. How do you know they're telling the truth about the other things they're saying today? The property is located on a corner of Higley and Fairview Road. Higley is a very busy 6-lane road with 3 lanes running north and south each. This proposed venue is located very close to Higley Road and is contained on a lot that is approximately 1 acre. There is literally nowhere to park the additional cars for the guests attending any event without clogging up the street, especially where people have to turn in to get into it. The illegal events they have already been having force their attendees to awkwardly park on other properties just to fit them in near the venue. I would ask that all of you take into consideration and fully listen to us, the people who live in this specific neighborhood. I have personally spoken to the town of Gilbert's development team, and they do not want this taking place. They, along with this community, want these lots to remain residential, where families can live without concern of drunk drivers leaving events, noise pollution from their loud music, which we've already experienced over the last year and a half, and cars being parked all over the place as you enter in onto the street that we live on. There are also plenty of commercial vacant land properties in Gilbert and around the LDS Temple where the current homeowners and the town of Gilbert can build a venue to best suit their needs. Again, I ask that you please take into consideration for what we have all written in about, have said, or will say today. Thank you. And
Thank
then
you.
here's Brian Skinner, or I just need to take the baby. Hold on just 1 second. My phone. You don't need.
Hey, this is Brian. So I was pretty opposed to the white barn venue, and we did quite a bit of back and forth until there was finally some stipulations done. So for the record, Brian Skinner, 16631 East Elgin Street. You can hear, I know there's been said that you can't hear it. It's not bad, but I can hear it from my house, especially when people are talking. But I just want to oppose it personally, but I have some notes if you're going to pass it through, some stipulations. These are stipulations that we worked on with Mr. Jarvis and the White Barn venue. But so holding 15 venues a year, that's great. I appreciate that, limiting it that way. Also ask that the speakers be placed inward instead of outward so that they are directed towards the audience as opposed to just being pushed out. I would suggest, because of parking, that guests be limited to 100 guests. I just can't see how you can have 30 cars parked in a very small area, and then once you bleed out, you're literally parking on the street, right on a corner. It's just a blind corner. It's hard. I would say there's going to be accidents. Other venue is going to, in 2 years, they're going to do a review, not necessarily have to reapply for a special use permit, but do a review to see if everything's doing. I would suggest that be added as well, to see if everything's being abided by, and hook up to the town of Gilbert sewer. And that would just take care of those issues. So those are my comments. Again, officially, I'm opposed to it, but I believe there's also other stipulations that could be added to what is already being stipulated to make it more palatable.
Thank you, Mr. Skinner. Do we have any other speakers?
We're
David,
not
do we have
aware of any others. Sorry.
Thank you. No, thank you very much. Would the applicant like to make a rebuttal?
Sure. There's been no charging for events since we were informed that there was going to be a necessity of an SUP. I am not about to be the guy that cancels somebody's wedding just because I'm not getting paid. There has been no charging. To say that I've been charging for that is incorrect at best. The Elgin property that they were speaking of is 975 feet away. That's over 3 football fields on the other street. It's not a problem for them, and nobody's parking near them. Nobody's parking at all because we're pulling them onto the property. In fact, I think I can think of one where the guy just bought his new truck and it was massive and he was afraid to parallel park. He asked if he could please park in front of our place. The direct neighbor, you have a letter in hand, so that is incorrect. Yes, I'm a town of Gilbert councilman, and I have not used my influence and purposely not said that because it's incorrect and unethical to use your position to try and gain favor. In fact, I didn't even sit there and try and lean on Kyle from Development Services to take the standard opposition letter of anything that changes any zoning in the planning area. I did have him over to discuss possibly letting out onto Higley, which again is a standard. They don't want anybody on Higley, although there's a half a dozen driveways onto Higley up and down the street. To make a new one is against town policy. I didn't push against that. I had him there to look. We already cap it at 100 guests, so that's not an issue. You cannot hook up to the town of Gilbert sewer unless you are a town of Gilbert resident. There is a very large fee. I believe it is now $40,000 for your system development fees to hook up. And then of course you're now a town of Gilbert property rather than a county property. The 2 septics more than cover this issue, and they've been inspected and submitted. I'm hardly hiding behind anything. I'm the person speaking here, and to continually have your character assassinated over something that's not true, it gets tedious. To be frank, we've had some very unreasonable neighbors that had to be removed from the property. We've had trash thrown in neighbors' properties that supported us. People try to be intimidated not to support us. I don't really want to look back on that. I think that the right thing to do is to move forward, be the best community member I can, do what we say we're going to do, and face whatever review comes forward. Certainly, if I prove to be a huge neighborhood nuisance, I don't think it will take 5 years to get rid of me, because I know when somebody's a nuisance, things accelerate very quickly. It's the center of the complaints has literally said, I own this street and what I want is going to happen. You don't own the street. I'm sorry. You're over, 0.625 miles away. Just trying to do something that my wife enjoys. I can do it for free all day long. And that's why we've been doing the things we booked for free, because I'm not going to be the guy to cancel somebody's wedding. And Dream wanted her baby shower there. And guess what? I did it for free because she's basically family. Her mom passed earlier in the year. There's not a chance I'm charging that young lady for a baby shower. And they're complaining about a baby shower, the absolute basis of community, family, children, marriage. I find it very strange.
Thank you. Could you speak to the speakers? One of the speakers said, was there a way to direct the speakers away from the neighborhood? Could you speak to that?
Yeah, they actually are. I don't know what he's speaking. They're not very loud, but yeah, you don't face it outward. You face it, and it's the way it's surrounded by an 8-foot wall. You want it inside, and you want it facing the people that are listening to the ceremony.
Thank you.
I used to own a nightclub. I know how to contain sound.
Thank you. Commissioners have any other comments or questions?
This Commissioner Limbaugh, I do.
Yes, Commissioner.
So, couple questions, Mr. Torgerson, and I appreciate he's called me over this has been a long process. I know because I've received calls from him, and a lot of that was around parking and things like that. So I can see that, and I know the applicant, one of their initial complaints was the contracts for the 30 parking spots, and I saw that the Torgersons have agreed to that.
Commissioner Lindbaum, did we lose you? Commissioner?
Madam Chair, if we've lost Commissioner Limbaugh, we do not have a quorum. I just sent him a text.
Meeting now, and when are you open to it? And then
He's still talking. Commissioner
you know-
Lindbaum, we lost you about 2 minutes into your comments. I think one of the last things you said was you'd gotten a number of calls on this. So that was fairly early in your comments.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I'm in a really remote area. So the question is to talk about all stipulate with some of those that called me, and really we could walk through some of those stipulations with the neighbors, because I don't think they fully understand all of them that they're agreeing to. And I think that would help between now and a Board of Supervisor meeting. I'm not asking for a continuance. We'll vote today, but that's one. The other is, I just wanted to say this one for me than the white barn. Are you able to hear, or is it breaking out?
Breaking up.
You're breaking up. We get every other word. I heard something about going through the
That's what I was afraid
stipulations so
of.
the neighbors understood. And that was about all I made out of that.
What's that? Just give me a second. I'll try to get on a better connection. We can keep talking. Others can ask questions if they need to.
All right, we'll see. Well, while Commissioner Lindbaum tries to get a better connection, do other commissioners have any questions or comments on this case? All right, so then we'll wait for
Yeah,
Commissioner.
I have a question. This
Oh,
is
yes, Commissioner Montoya. Yes.
So I like the fact that there's a 5-year period on the special use permit, because that allows for staff to review and take a look at this. But in the interim, should this pass and move forward to this Board of Supervisors for their ultimate decision, and for the sake of the folks that have called in with concerns, if there are issues in between that 5-year period, is there an avenue for the immediate neighbors to contact the county staff to go and take a look at this special use permit and see if it's complying?
Thank you, Commissioner Montoya. This is Adam Cannon. Yes, there absolutely is a way for neighbors to contact us, for us to check on its compliance. Obviously, when events are being held, if there's a concern, we still dispatch a code enforcement officer to ensure that the venue would be operating in compliance with the stipulations of approval.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I might be in a better spot now.
That sounds much better. Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Lindbaum.
Sorry, I knew I was in a remote spot, but we didn't have quorum, so I jumped on. So bear with me, be patient, please. My question, Mr. Torgerson, is, would you be willing to meet with some of the neighbors between now and the Board of Supervisor vote to really help? I think a lot of them don't understand the stipulations you've agreed to, and I would certainly love to help facilitate that discussion. I got calls last night of some concern, and they were open to that. I think we still vote today and things like that, but that is a question. Would you be willing to do that?
Of course, I'd be willing to do that. The last time I did it, I had to hire an off-duty police officer because of their behavior to be there. So I would like your attendance too, so you could witness this,
Well,
because there's some very
no,
unruly people.
no, that is my intent, is to be present.
Okay.
I certainly understand the passion that exists in that area. They're many of my lifelong family friends, and they love their homes and their lifestyles and the way they live, and sometimes get a little bit very passionate. So I certainly understand that, especially just going through the White Barn process or whatever that project, I think that's what they called that. But this one's been a little bit harder for me to get 100% behind. But I'll be honest, after seeing the stipulations when reading the file last night, and after talking to some of those residents and not knowing those stipulations because I hadn't read the file yet, like, I really feel more and more comfortable. But I feel like we need to get in front of some of those, and hopefully I can help in that process of getting those neighbors comfortable with this being a use that can be something you can do but not impact them. And the other is, I do want to verify that the surrounding neighbors are, if we have a paper right now saying that, I take that on its face, and especially if they're not here opposing today. But that's important to me, that those that are directly surrounded, for me, if there's any that are opposed, that excuse me, that's a big deal to me. So thank you for being willing. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Lindbaum. Any other comments or questions? We'll proceed to a vote. Oh, do we have a motion? We don't have a motion. We need a motion. Would someone like to entertain a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve recommendation. Um, uh, and that is with that caveat that, and there is no caveat in a motion, but a big part of why I'm making this motion is because of the applicant's willingness to have another meeting between now and when the Board of Supervisors meet. And I know they ultimately decide, and that's what I explained to some of those residents. So having said that, I'll make a motion to approve um, in accordance with the stipulations that were set by staff.
Thank you, Commissioner Lindbaum. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Montoya. We'll proceed now to a vote.
Commissioner Curley, Commissioner Montoya,
Yes.
Vice Chair Lindblom,
Yes.
Chair Milhaven,
Yes.
Here we have a motion recommending approval by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you,
luck
ma'am.
to you. We'll move on to to item number 4, the Patterson 5.
Thank you, Chairwoman Milhaven. Adam Cannon again. Case Z 2022-118 is for Patterson 5, also in Supervisor District 1. The subject site is located at the southeast corner of Riggs and Sossaman Road in the Queen Creek area and is approximately 5.1 acres. Is also zoned rural 43. The request is for a zone change with overlay from rural 43 to C3 CUPD for a commercial retail establishment and secure RV trailer storage facility. The applicant's also requesting approval of plan of development for this use. And while the use is proposed expected to develop, if zoning is approved, it will entitle several commercial uses so the site has future viability. Access to the site is from Riggs Road, and emergency only access is located on the south property line onto Indiana Avenue and easement, and that's in order to avoid direct access to Sossaman Road where there's a significant drainage easement. The Indiana Avenue access will be gated and signed so as to be used for emergencies only. There is a relatively large opposition to this case. At the last count was 77 persons, but we did receive some additional opposition this morning, additional 2 letters and a petition with 15 signatures, which would bring the count to 94 if there's no duplicates. But due to the timing, we couldn't include those in the report or a handout, which based on the number of people that represents about 46 properties in the area. The opposition is primarily concerned with the intensity of C3 zoning, access to Indiana Avenue from the facility, site design as it pertains to on-site traffic, crime and buffering from residential, lighting, property values, architectural character, and potential impacts to the school. The applicant has made a good faith effort to notify the public and held 2 neighborhood meetings to address concerns. As of late yesterday, we noted in a handout that it was close to triggering a supermajority vote at the Board of Supervisors. With what I've seen this morning, that vote would be triggered at the board for zoning approval. The school has not commented on the proposal, and the town of Queen Creek has stated they are neutral. Earlier on, District 1 had received a letter from Robin Benning, a town councilman who was opposed to the case. Staff is recommending approval for the following reasons. The site is appropriately located in an arterial intersection and appropriately sized for what is being proposed. Urban services are available to the site from the town, and the applicant did secure a water and sewer will serve letter. A significant landscaping buffer and landscaping plan would be provided along Indiana Avenue. And the landscaping plan is not required by the ordinance, so they're going well above and beyond and offering that landscaping to the site. Staff considers RV and trailer storage to be a fairly low intensity use. And as I noted earlier, the access that is closest to residential Indiana Avenue would be gated and emergency only. Staff also included conditions addressing lighting and various prohibited uses that wouldn't be in keeping with the neighborhood, such as marijuana uses, adult uses, bus depots, and there's several other uses that are prohibited as well. Applicant worked with staff and took community feedback on those uses. Staff also included a condition requiring an 8-foot screen wall along the eastern and southern property lines. And with that, I'd leave it open to any questions if you have any. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioners have any questions of staff? In that case, we'll hear from the applicant. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. If we can get my PowerPoint up, please. Jessica Sarkisian with Upfront Planning, 1811 South Alma School Road in Mesa, Arizona. Thank you so much, Chair and Commissioners. I really hope that you are able to see this. I understand you're in some difficult areas to see possibly the PowerPoint, but I really hope I can explain to you why we feel this is the appropriate use for the site. I felt like our case had been a long time from 2022, but apparently the one before. So I'm hoping to get this one through this hearing. Is there a clicker or do I just, okay, thank you. And just for your information, it might feel like I'm getting a little off topic on some things, but I assure you it has reaction in response to neighborhood comments. And so that's why I'm going to be showing you some of this information. So again, this is the Patterson RV and retail commercial site. It is 5.1 acres net, located at the southeast corner of Riggs and Sauceman, adjacent to the town of Queen Creek, and the Newell Barney Junior High just to the north. Here you can see a little zoomed in. It is the vacant space right here, directly on Sauceman and Riggs, which are both arterials. Riggs is a principal arterial, which has been fully improved. And Sauceman is also an arterial, which is in the process of being updated and improved. This is a rezone to a C3 CUPD to provide neighborhood and agricultural-based retail with restricted uses. As Adam mentioned, we have an extensive restricted use list. We have been working on this case, like I said, since 2022, and we have worked extensively with the town of Queen Creek and staff there about the architectural style, the types of permitted uses, and so on. So while it is C3, it will operate more as a local neighborhood commercial use. We're anticipating possibly a sit-down restaurant and some inline shops and associated retail, and then with the fully enclosed trailer storage in the rear. Here you can see the retail buildings in the front. Along Riggs Road is the smaller one, and the fully enclosed trailer storage in the back. So building 1A is the first one, is a one-story, 18,000 square foot building with a max height of, actually it's more of a 20-foot height. The 33 feet is the architectural enhancements, which you can see in the elevation. So we've provided significant architectural enhancements. I know neighbors have stated that they don't feel there is it. However, we exceed the town of Queen Creek's design standards, and which is far exceeding anything that the county currently has as well, with also landscaping. And so we have gone above and beyond to make sure that this is an appealing agrarian looking project. We're looking at outdoor seating also for the possible restaurant along Riggs, with 77 parking spaces and 5 ADA. And then the response from the neighbors through the neighborhood meetings, the trailer storage will be fully enclosed, all 4 sides and a roof, total of 54 fully enclosed trailer stalls with a maximum height of only 17 feet and 8 inches.
Madam Chair, sorry to interrupt, but it looks like we may lose our quorum in 20 minutes.
I'll go quick. I'm sure the neighbors still want to talk, but a site is proposed for local commercial site with sites retail services, no drive-through, no gas station, no medical marijuana, no adult uses, and extending, no veterinary, we don't want boarding, all those things, so there's no noise. So we've also done, and you can see on here possibly, we have an extensive building C, which is the south building with lots of different elevations. We had on the trailer storage. This is the trailer storage building. We have varied roof lines, faux windows, different textures and roofing, building materials. And so that is, we have gone exceedingly trying to appease and make it look less like a retail or a solid block wall. And this will be facing the south side on Indiana. And here's the architecture. You can see this is what we worked with Queen Creek on, and they were happy with this design, which is why we decided to move forward for the architectural theme. Agrarian are designed to provide the, various materials and accents visually appealing from Riggs and Sauceman. You can see how it's actually more of a 20 feet, but you have those peaks with the glass and the architecture in there to make it a little different. In the back, you can see of the retail, it's the 20 foot is to the parapet there. Here are some renderings of the site. We are proposing some deviations in the development standards. We are asking, as they asked, for the 8-foot wall, so that's an exceeding the 6-foot wall. And then we are also asking to reduce a site visibility triangle on Indiana, because Indiana will have, as required by county requirements, will only have an emergency access only, and it will be gated. So that visibility triangle, just because of it's not a dedicated roadway, that has an issue with the visibility triangle meeting that standard. So that's been requested to be removed. The visibility triangles on Riggs will remain in place. And outdoor lighting will be in conformance with the county standards and be shielded and put away from the residents. Here's also just, we do have will serve letters. I know that Queen Creek is neutral, but we do feel they are supportive because we do have will serve letters both for water and sewer. We also have an approved traffic report study that was sent to them that the county also has on file regarding traffic in the area. Surrounding conditions, this is Riggs and Sossman. Riggs and Sossman is a section line arterial road. If you look at all along Riggs Road, I haven't, unfortunately don't have a letter. I'll try to get it for the supervisors, but I spoke to both the principal Castile and the junior high across the street. Both refer to Riggs Road as Riggs Highway. It is a major road. It has major impact on the entire region. Riggs Road connects from Interstate 10 all the way to Combs Road in Pinal County, which possibly will also connect to the North-South Freeway. It is a major thoroughfare. Despite that fact that this is a rural area, does not mean that is not impactful and going to have traffic on it. This is also next to the recently Horseshoe Park and Equestrian Center entrance, Pecan Lake Entertainment Center, less than a mile from those. Queen Creek Fire and Medical has built on Sossaman their major fire station just north of the site of Newell Barney, stating that this is a major thoroughfare. Sossaman Road and Riggs Road are very important roads and should be designated as such and used as such with the uses on them. One of the big issues is the neighbors request this to remain residential only. When they state that, I think there should also be the addition that they're not stating it should be residential appropriate for a high density use. They're stating they want it to be 1+ acre lots, which on this location is not an appropriate use in that sense. And here again is just you can see how Riggs Road goes all the way to I-10. And we've adjusted also the site because of the irrigation easement along Sossaman Road. Trying to move fast here, but this is also the right-of-way conditions showing that Sossaman, again, despite it may be 6 feet in some areas, the intent is that it will be fully improved, again, to 110 feet wide in some areas, and parcelized are starting to begin within the county and already dedicated, which is why the right-of-way on Sossaman Road going south. So this is going to be a major road as well, even despite there being large lots on the road. As you know, neighborhood outreach, we had 2 neighborhood meetings. We started out with having 26 people at our first neighborhood meeting. The second neighborhood meeting was 18 people, and now we have significantly less in the audience right here. Here's our buffer area of notification. I feel that a lot of the opposition neighbors and letters that we received, if you read them, it appears that they haven't actually read the application because there were concerns that we have already addressed previously. In summary, we are requesting C3 CUPD, limited uses, 17-foot wide landscaping on the south, fully landscaped, architectural design elements requested by the town to fit the community, located directly on the corner of a principal arterial and an arterial. Public access is restricted to Riggs Road only. Gated access on Indiana for emergency use only will be gated, not just saying emergency only, and has been reviewed for circulation issues within the county and the town, and there have been no issues. The architecture exceeds the county and Queen Creek design standards with various design elements, materials, and shapes. Trailer storage is fully enclosed, not lights, so people can see it is fully enclosed. Varied roof shapes, no blank wall along Indiana. We have done 2 separate traffic studies. Both of them have been approved and reviewed by the county and the town and okayed. And the town of Queen Creek has provide letters of will serve for sewer and water, which would typically not be happening if they were opposed to the uses. So with that, I kind of ran through that really quickly. I know we have some people in the audience, but I'm trying to keep quorum, so thank you.
And I learned that Commissioner Lawrence has since joined the meeting. However, I guess we lose 1 commissioner at 10:50 and another at 11. So we'll have a quorum until 11 o'clock. But what that means to folks who are missing is if we do not take action on this item before 11 o'clock, we'll need to bring this item back on February 6th. We cannot proceed without a quorum. So we have 4 cards to speak in person. Each person is limited to 2 minutes. We'll begin with Neblis Francois, and please state your name and address for the record.
That is a very good pronunciation, actually, on a first try. Thank you. My name is
Merci.
my name is Neblis Francois. My address is 6201 South Rochester Drive. I live reasonably close to the site. My son goes to Castile High School. I've lived in the area for 12 years. I go by this intersection 2 or 3 times per week. He's got a seminary class early morning. I'm very familiar with that. It definitely is an arterial area. There's lots of traffic there in the morning. main traffic for rush hour, for commuting, things like that. I'm familiar with that quite well. I also, my profession is a realtor. I actually, and I specialize in the Southeast Valley, particularly with land development. So I do a lot of research with regards to commercial corners and the like, and with clients and such. And so I do know I'm actually in favor of this, just because living in the area for over 12 years, there has been a substantial amount of growth. And with that growth, of course, there's traffic and things like that. But also, there's not very many services in the area. And from my own anecdotal experience and also professionally, I can see when commercial corners are actually developed, they are used, because services are far and few between. And I know that this is in the county, it's in the municipality of Queen Creek, but I know Gilbert, Chandler, Queen Creek, different areas, they find these commercial corners extremely valuable because there isn't a lot of services there. So me personally, when I see something else come up, whether it be a restaurant or a storage facility, those things fill up, and I'm more than happy to utilize those services. So I know that sometimes growth and traffic can be, it's annoying, but at the same time, there's a lot of people who want to move out here to enjoy our beautiful weather in that particular area of the valley. And I myself, I'm always happy to see other retail services that I can potentially utilize.
Thank you for coming down.
Mhm.
Nicole Dumke.
Hello, I'm Nicole Dumke. I am one of the houses that live directly on Indiana Avenue. So they,
Please state your address for the record, please.
19213 East Indiana Avenue,
Thank you.
Queen Creek. We've lived there since 2009. We love the area because it is rural. We have acre lots and everybody around us. We did go around, me and some other neighbors went around and got signatures. And like I said, Adam said, we have plenty of neighbors that oppose this project. We feel C3 is just too.
I'm going to be the most ready when it gets time, because I've been getting all my stuff organized.
Excuse me, somebody's not on mute.
That's Commissioner Lindblom.
Oh,
We just feel C3 is just too intense for this area. You know, everybody has, you know, we're rural. The owner that bought the property 3 years ago he bought it as a rural property. So we feel he should keep it rural and put houses on there. But of course, we are willing to make compromises. We were willing to make compromises with them to go down to at least C1, maybe C2, or higher rural number, whatever that could be. But we even had a buyer that wanted to buy the property that wanted to do senior living. We were okay with that. Of course, we do not want it. We want it to stay rural because our community wants that. We are nervous about I know that they said it was going to be an emergency exit, but anything could be an emergency, we feel. So we're still concerned about them using Indiana Avenue, which is a unpaved road. There's only 3 houses on the street. So we do not want them RVs going in and out. We have a feeling that they will, if they do go out on our street, you know, it's unpaved. So, and it's a big corner, you know, the RVs are hard to get in and out of the street. So we would definitely want them to use another emergency exit out and not use Indiana at all. I would love them to have
I'm sorry, but your time has expired.
Oh,
Could you
okay.
just quickly, another sentence or two?
We oppose. I oppose.
Thank you. Janice McLean.
James McClure.
I'm sorry, James McClure. Okay, sorry.
Yes, James McClure. I live at 19241 East Indiana Street, which abuts the south side of this proposed development. Like Nicole, you know, it's a residential street, and no matter what signage or whatever else you put up, people are going to find a way to use it. It's like putting up signs that say no jake brake. Well, we get jake brakes all the time. They don't work. The traffic in front of our homes, we don't want that. Members of the planning staff I know have already recommended the rezoning, but how many of those actually came out to the site and talked with us? None. You know, our yards, this is not our deep backyards that abut this property. It's the front of our houses, our driveways, our front door, our friends where we meet them, our guests. And what are they going to say? What is this huge wall in front of your house for? I don't know. We live in a prison, I suppose. But this thing runs 300 and some odd feet or whatever it is. And with the building height continuous, it's 16, 20 foot tall. I don't know. It's just going to look really odd for us. You know, the property, when we all bought the property, it was zoned residential. We would like to keep it residential. It's residential from the new Circle K they build at Power and Riggs all the way to Ellsworth. And then they're going to plop right down the middle and put a commercial development in, which is just not going to fit. It's something we have to look at. It's going to decrease our property values. And it's going to be an eyesore for us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming down. We have no more requests to speak in person. We have someone online to speak.
Yeah, now they're all raising their hands, so I assume they want to speak. Mitchell Ferguson, go ahead.
Ms. Ferguson, please state your name and address for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
They are unmuted. I'm not sure why we can't hear them. So I also have Cheryl McClure.
Ms. McClure, you
Hello.
have 2 minutes.
Hello,
please.
this is Cheryl.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Cheryl McClure. I live at 19241 East Indiana Avenue. So our house, yes, directly abuts this project. And as James, my husband, has indicated, we are looking at a 16-foot tall block wall right outside, literally right outside our front door. This property is going to allow 24/7 access for their trailers and RVs. The noise coming in there at 3 in the morning would be nothing we can do about. There is a significant amount of opposition to this. That is, with every neighborhood meeting we have met with them, indicated that this is not an appropriate use for this property. Despite that, and the fact that staff acknowledges that this request does not conform to the land use designation, point 8 on the staff analysis, the town's general plan allows for commercial agricultural related uses. Well, this proposal says that they're going to have a farm supply store, an RV storage component, but there's an Ace Hardware, which is a complete farm store, 1.8 miles to the west, and there's a Tractor Supply farm store, which is 2 miles to the east. So the possibilities of getting another farm store there, I think, are quite remote. I think it's just a ploy to use to try to get the zoning changed. The rezoning narrative states that this development serves the local needs of the community and that large commercial areas are 4 miles away. But there's plenty of commercial usage very close to us. 2 miles away, there's plenty of, there's the grocery stores, there's plenty of the small strip centers. And then 2 miles to the east, you have the extensive development, which has grocery stores, which has restaurants, it has entertainment. So the fact that this is supposed to be something that's meeting the needs of the local residents simply isn't the case. There are now 90 individuals who have voiced their opposition to this, and you have one man who's trying to change the development. We stand very much against this development and ask the commission to reconsider their approved recommendation.
Thank you, Ms. McClure. Any other?
I also have Jackie Arnell.
Hello,
Jackie
can you hear me?
Yes, please. Yes, we can hear you. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 2 minutes.
My name is Jackie Arnall. I live at 19124 East Indian Avenue.
I'm sorry, you must have moved away from your microphone. You're difficult to hear right now. That was the feedback.
Can you hear me better now?
We're being told you probably have, oh, that's feedback. You have your speakers up too loud. Okay, that sounds good. You can begin again.
Looks like Jackie muted herself, probably trying to close that loop. Maybe, there you go.
Okay, can you
Jackie?
hear me now?
That sounds
Yes.
better. Yes, thank you. Go ahead, begin again, please.
I think Jackie turned off her sound, so now she can't hear us, so it doesn't loop back. So she doesn't know that we can hear her. I'll try and send her a chat. 1 second. Jackie did write out a note. I can forward that note to the commission.
Do you mean in lieu of her comment?
That's what it looks like. It's a pretty long note.
Can you read it to us?
Sure.
I don't know how else we would get it.
Okay. She said she lives at 19124 East Indian Avenue. My husband and I oppose the rezoning of case Z2022118, Patterson 5. We bought our home with the Yes. I was just reading your note, Jackie, but go ahead.
Could you please just read what I messaged in here because my computer is not working?
Sure. So let me continue there. We bought our home with the understanding that the lot was zoned residential. We would not have bought it if we knew that it could potentially be rezoned. We would no longer be happy living here if a commercial building of any sort was put up right next to us. We live right on the corner and it would hugely impact us. There are traffic and safety concerns. Getting out of our neighborhood is already a nightmare during heavy traffic hours. We have teen drivers and already worry about their safety having to turn out of Indian Avenue. Indian Avenue is paved and paid for by the residents. If anyone related to the commercial business used the cul-de-sac for turnaround, that would be very frustrating. The middle school across the street could be negatively impacted depending on what is put in. The proposed project would not benefit our property values at all and would be an eyesore for those who live here. We have personally put a lot of money into our property and backyard and are concerned that this rezoning will negatively impact our investment overall. Queen Creek has become very expensive, and if we had to move, we would essentially be priced out of the market. The proposed projects do not work for our community. Please take our concerns into consideration and help to keep our neighborhood rural and safe, which is why we all bought here. Thank you for your consideration and not approving the rezoning and leaving it zoned for residential only. I also, Mitchell Ferguson was, we tried to hear from him earlier. Mitchell, I have you unmuted if you could try again. Go ahead. Mitchell, I don't know if you're using a cell phone and the cell phone is also muted. It shows that you're unmuted in the application, but we're not hearing you. I also have Robert Bergheimer. Robert, you're unmuted if you want to speak.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I feel like we need to continue this one because we're running out of time here. And I think this project deserves not 2 minutes from individuals, especially people that live right behind this. I think they need to be heard. The applicant was allowed to talk for 10 or 15 minutes. And I think the people that are directly behind this deserve more time, not be cut off. We're opposed to this project because Primarily, we think it's too intensive. The property to the northwest corner is currently being considered to be C1 zoning. And I think that is a much more appropriate zoning for this site. C3 is just too intense for this area. The neighborhood has continuously tried to broker a solution, and our concerns have been ignored. There's no reason why this applicant cannot use Sossaman Road for access, the secondary access. And so using Indiana is just completely inappropriate for this thing. And our concerns, there's no reason why that Sossaman cannot be used. So it's a cost issue. It's an undeveloped road. There's an arterial there for Sossaman that they can use. Why aren't they using that? It's primarily a cost issue. If you do decide to approve this or not continue today, we ask that there be some stipulations related to how long this project can remain in open condition. We're asking for 2 years that this project be considered to get pull permits on this project, and therefore if they don't, then it will revert back to its original zoning. I think an additional 25-foot landscape setback along the south side of the property, in addition to what they already have, would be appropriate, and only allowing them to use Sossaman for emergency egress. And by the way, I want to also comment on Queen Creek. I've had discussions with Queen Creek and planning staff. I think their involvement on this project or support has been exaggerated. I do not believe that this project would be approved if it was in Queen Creek.
Thank you, sir. Would you please state your name and address for the record?
Yeah, Robert Bergheimer, 25165 South 191st Street.
Okay, and Mr. Bergheimer, we're going to allow as many people who want to speak today to speak, even if that means we run out of time, and it is typical practice to only allow 2 minutes. So we're certainly not doing anything to inhibit this residents from having comment. Do we have any other online speakers?
Chairman, I did hear from Mitchell Ferguson. We still have a technical issue there. They sent an email and asked me to read it, but I did not get it. I don't know who they sent the email to, so I don't know how to read that to you. But that's the only other person that I was working with.
Can you text him and ask him who he sent the email to?
I did. I haven't
okay.
gotten a response.
And Madam Chair, any email that was sent into Adam Cannon or any other planning staff member prior to the
meeting would already be included.
It'll
Okay,
either
so
be a handout or in your packet.
do you know if was he saying he sent the email earlier? Or did he just send it? Because if folks were having technical difficulties and wanted to comment, I certainly wanted to give them every opportunity to have their thoughts heard. But if they sent the opinion in beforehand, it would already be part of the record.
Madam Chair, there is an opposition letter in the staff report from Mr. Ferguson. We got that, it may be in a handout or it may be in the staff report. But anything, I just wanted to clarify what Darren said. There was stuff that came in this morning that I received when I walked in, but we didn't have enough time to process it and print it out and get it.
But the gentleman we're having trouble connecting with is Mr. Ferguson.
Correct.
And his comments are already included in the packet.
The staff report.
Okay, in the staff report.
Or the handout, one of the two.
Okay, all right. Do we have any other speakers online? So we've heard from Mr. Ferguson. Any other speakers?
There are no others.
Thank you so much. Would the applicant like to make a rebuttal?
Thank you. I don't know if we'll have enough time for a vote, but I just wanted to point out a couple of things. Is that I would think, I actually spoke to one of the neighbors that they're proposing at the C1 in Queen Creek. And as Robert mentioned, he said that they're proposing C1. And I think it's interesting that they said they would support that because that is the opposite of what they have heard. And then I worked on those pieces and this piece. And we have at our neighborhood meeting specifically asked multiple times, what do you want at this site as retail? What do you want? We will put it in the permitted use list, strike out everything else. What do you want? And the answer is we don't want retail. We don't want any of it. We only want this. So there is no discussion that keeps coming back and forth. We are attempting as best we can to propose something as similar to C1 as possible while allowing the trailers, fully enclosed trailer storage in the back. The request to add a step about 2 years to pull permit is, I find, a little ridiculous because of the current state of the market. Anybody that's doing business and developing within the county, jurisdictions, anything, 2 years to pull a permit and get site plan approval and pull building permits is very tight. Staff is super restricted. There's a lot of difficulties that come up. The reason we cannot go on to Sossaman is because we have an extensive discussion over the drainage easement on Sossaman. That is also another stipulation that we can't even put a wall there because it is infringing on the drainage easement that is very important to this area and has been improved. As mentioned, I talked to the middle school and the high schools. They were actually very excited for the project. They saw no issues with conflicts with traffic because the hours of retail would be very different than someone driving to and from their house. So they were excited to let me know when the restaurant would come in or something like that so that they could get that. The uses are in line. We have discussions many times with Crane Creek. And so we've tried as best as we can with what we've been given and how many times we've approached the neighbors to get this information. I do want to say, I find it very disingenuous a little bit. We've talked to Robert Berkheimer several times. And I just want to point out that he is also the direct supervisor of one of the council members that wrote the letter in opposition. I find that's a conflict of interest right there on that letter. And so we have worked with Queen Creek, the staff, the council members, the mayors. And so they're just, because of the neighborhood issue, they're just going to remain neutral at this time. But I do feel that we have pointed and done as much as we can. There is no access. It is a gated full gate with Knox box for emergency vehicles. That's fire, ambulance, stuff like that. So access would only be off of Riggs. There's no trucks going on into Indiana. If there's anything, if they start breaking down things and like that, that's ridiculous. We can always talk in the future with stipulations regarding reducing the 24-hour operation for the trailers, but it's a very low intensity use that I'm sure, even though they say they'll never use it, they're usually the first ones in the neighborhood to use those for services. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. All right, I'll make the motion to approve case number Z2022118 Patterson 5. Is there a second? And Commissioner Curley seconds.
Commissioner Curley? Commissioner Lawrence?
Yes.
Commissioner Montoya?
Yes.
Vice Chair Lindblom? Vice Chair Lindblom? Chair Milhaven?
Yes.
Chair, we have a motion recommending approval by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. And we're going to lose a quorum in 2 minutes. Is that correct? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So do we need a motion to continue the next case or is it automatically continued?
It'll automatically be rolled.
Okay. So in as much as we lose a quorum in the next 2 minutes?
I'm the next applicant. I can be 30 seconds.
All right. Well, if you want to give it a shot, we'll let you give it a shot. All right. Next case.
Thank you, Acting Chair and members of the Commission. Case Z2023115 is a request for a major amendment with a plan of development to the C2 CUPD zoning district for self-storage uses, generally located at the northeast corner of Thomas Road and 195th Avenue in the Buckeye area. The zone change to C2 CUPD was previously approved in 2023 by the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, allowing future developments that can utilize as septic as approved by the Maricopa County Environmental Services Department. At that time, no specific uses or site plans were proposed. This application proposes 93,507 square foot complex proposed over 2 single-story buildings. The site is proposed to utilize an entrance and office along Thomas Avenue with one-way internal drive exiting onto 195th Avenue. This application has received no public comment or outreach. The City of Buckeye has provided an objection to the proposal, stating they wish the development was annexed into the city within the city to city standards. Staff would like to note that the applicant has spent significant time working with the city to develop the site to include the additional right-of-way dedications for a northbound turn lane at the intersection. Staff recommends the commission adopt a motion recommending that the Board of Supervisors approve Z2023-115, subject to the conditions A through H as outlined in the staff report. At this time, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Good. Thank you. Would the applicant like to speak?
No, I don't want to speak, but I'll just simply say, Commissioner Milhiven, this is Adam Baugh with Morris Baugh. We have no opposition. Staff is in support. You've seen this before. Now we have the real site plan that allows us to make the accommodations for Buckeye. As a result, we're here requesting your approval. Hopefully you can proceed to the Board of Supervisors.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to speak in person? No one's here to speak in person. Do we have anybody online?
There's no one online.
Thank you. Commissioners have any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, this is Commissioner Montoya, I make a motion to approve case number Z 2023-115 at 195th and Thomas, commercial, with the conditions as presented by staff.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we have a second?
Commissioner Lundblom, I'll second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Lundbaum. We'll have a vote.
Commissioner Curley. Commissioner Lawrence,
Yes.
Commissioner Montoya,
Yes.
Vice Chair Lindblom,
Yes.
Milhaven.
Yes.
Chair, we have a motion recommending approval by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. That's the last item on our agenda. Anything from staff?
Madam Chair, just for the record, Commissioner Lindblom lost his audio, but he did shoot a text over saying I'm voting yes on item 4, the previous item.
Okay, thank you.
That is correct. So it should be a 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, since there's no other business, the meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, Kevin.